Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to another installment in the Quick View series, but this one gets to have the delightful asterisk next to it. One of my favorites, it is the rear view, and the rear view covers that which you cannot buy anymore, but you might have in a closet. And we're trying to fill out the list of tires. We're trying to get every tire on it. I just spent an arduous few moments removing these from the plastic wheels to which they were glued, and then sourcing suitable foams for them because it was my intention to do the test on these, which are, of course, the Axial BFG Baja TA KR2 in an LP, like 525-ish size. We'll see it on the measurer. In the 2.2 rim, heavily ribbed and belted, definitely used. These are not brand new. They have been discontinued. This was the OE tire on the Axial RR10 Bomber. And I understand the Bomber isn't specifically a rock crawler, but that is not my responsibility. Axial calls this a rock crawling tire. They actually call it a crawler tire. So if you call it a crawler tire, you go on the protocol, and it's going to go on a class 3 protocol, which may make for a rough day for a test friend, Wolverine. I ended up on I think it might be J Concepts. They feel like a true medium. I have a pile of foams down at the end of the bench that we retain specifically for instances like this. I could not fit an Endura 525 silicone in it. Well, I could fit it, but it had all the little crinkles on the inside of it here, meaning that this, because of the amount of belting and ribbing in here, which is substantial, probably 2.5 millimeters tall, and then a full rib that runs the full edge right here, couldn't fit it. So we went with something pretty soft because the carcass is not thin and the lugs are tall in probably the 5 millimeter range. This is a big, chunky, heavy. In terms of even 525s, this is heavy. Oh, curiosity. Curiosity and the cat. We will do it in grams because that should be enough. We can, because even if you don't know what a gram is, you know when something's bigger than something else. Single stage open cell in the KR2. 155. That feels relatively portly. This is a Crawler Innovations Lil Nova specific to fit the 525 Tusk. 85, and that is a dual stage with a closed cell on the inner, and this is, you saw that foam probably weighs 15 grams. This is a 140 gram tire, so perhaps it is fortunate that we could not get it to fit an Endura silicone, because that would take the weight of this. We'd be looking at 300 grams a corner. What it was is that even with the standard with 30 millimeter ring that I tend to run in 2.2s, no matter what you would do, it seems like the bead on this tire is what many would call a glue bead. Like it's designed to be glued, because the actual little turn down edge right here is very shallow. So actually getting it to bite, see, just sets right in, looks great. As soon as we go to apply pressure, I had to mount every one of them at least twice. And I feel like we're gonna get R35'd pretty authoritatively here, which is, we have tested many R35 tires. I feel like the front's got a pooch out already. No, we're good. Oh, this is rare. You're on board for something rare, which is usually tire 4. The other 3 are already mounted. They're already on the rig. Mounting tire 4 on the video tends to really go down a crooked and winding path, and it unmounts itself a bunch of times, and then I have to do a bunch of edits, and it's really just kind of irritating, and it ruins my I get preconceived notions before we even get outdoors. But no, we've got it. We've got it. We do a little cross tighten action. Make sure this is gonna spin as little as possible. Now, we will watch closely, or I will attempt to, so I will leave that in your hands. Because that lip on the bead is so shallow, I feel like we are at a risk of having these spin in the bead lock. Oh, you know what we can do? We can go old school. We can kick it old school. You'll come along with me. And here's how we'll find out. Someone had asked, why is there one gold lug on there? Right? Because what you can do is this. Then you put a little silver dot on the sidewall like that. And then, after we run the test, we pick this thing up and we look at it and we see if the gold dot and the silver dot are still in line with each other. And then you'll know if your tires have been slipping in the beads. That's a pro tip. If you don't have a silver, if you don't have a lug, you can just take this, you can do the same thing like this. You just pick a spot and you go like that. Probably easier to do it that way. And then it's on the inside too. But, you know, if you're making a video about it, you might as well put it on the outside, right? I can't get over how heavy they are. 137, which is 5 and 3/8. That's what they would probably call it 5.4, which is 5.3875 for those who don't know. And I would call that dead 50 wide, which is just that the width of a laser burn under 2 inches. Because 2 inches would be 50.8. They don't feel terrible. But honestly, my hope for these was fit a silicone in them. And then you can run them on something trail-oriented, because they do look like it's a KR2. They look good. I had to, we're going to have to employ a lot of Ugga-Duggas here, because I lost the lug nuts for this thing again. I think I vacuumed them up, so that's when they're brand new. The first time you pop that nylon, it is ready to fight. Now, we have introduced rotating mass over which we have no control. 100, like I said, probably 140 grams per tire, which is significant. We've got a pretty desirable amount of lug to void ratio. Because they're so thick, I don't think, like, there's no sidewall collapse right there. Oh, we could almost, like stacking rocks in the woods, we could almost get it. But in R35, we have seen the 1.9 ripsaw, which is basically a class 1, really shine in terms of performance. Everything else that has been molded in R35 compound has prompted the suspicion that Axial is deliberately giving you, I can't decide to go with caca or poo-poo, so we'll go with both. They're giving you caca-poo-poo tires to provoke you to buy aftermarket tires, because if you're one of the 6 people unaware, Horizon Hobbies owns both Axial and Proline. So they might want you to go out and get yourself something from Proline. You know, I'm just throwing it out there. I'm just saying. So the ripsaw predated all of that shenanigans, so it was genuinely good. These, I'm pretty sure, predate a bunch of those shenanigans as well. I want to say added to catalog when I looked these up, like 2007, 2008. So anything pre-2010 is going to be more when, I don't want to be outright damning and say when Axial gave it a damn, but I mean, I think there's a little bit of that involved. So the KR2 is going to be an odd one, I think. They are aged, but they are aged old tires, made in the old ways. There is not an age crack. There is no dry rot. Look at these. How old would you guess these are? And I have one that's much cleaner than the rest. It's actually that one. I showed you the best one first. The glue bead was very thick. They were kind of, you can see the ribbing showing a little bit through the sidewall. This is one of those, the Rearview. Most of the Rearview tires we've ever tested have been above average. There's only been 1 or 2 that have been below the average, and of that, if we were doing a scatter graph, most of them are way up here trying to get out of the frame. The old Proline stuff, 1/9 ripsaws, etc., etc., etc. So I have some hopes, but we temper them as always because R35, the compound to get you to get you to buy another tire. So we'll take it out. 10 stages of the Class 3 protocol. Wolverine, and you, and I, we've all got our work cut out for us today. So what are we gonna find? Old R35, new R35, old R35. Will time have taken its toll? Little. But hold on. A bit chatty on the lug noise, but we got a little bit of an edge. The edge will cut a little. Real low on the input. Lug noise seems to pop up later. Ooh, there. This is odd. I mean, it is a fairly tight lug spacing. It's a tug light spacing. I don't know. Now, Bomber, you know, like not explicitly this, right? It's like the U4 that everybody keeps trying to make happen. That's, you know, that's very nearly. That's all right. This is the J Concepts foam in there. The stock foams just looked knackered. I mean, they've been in those tires for longer than a hot minute. They honestly, they like a really low level of throttle input. But when you get into like a kind of a mid-band, a little bit unpredictable. No chevron, monolug. I mean, you know, all the little things. Stability feels okay. It's not bad. It's not great. But as far as an R35 goes, I mean, because we're looking at this from the perspective of Class 3 at a 5.4 inch, I'm going to go 4/10. All right, 9.6 here. They look better in terms of grip than they sound. They're pretty chatty. It is as close as we're going to get to Predator weather. It's pretty good conditions. 62, 16, 80. It is just after sunrise, so we can't do much more. Does it have enough drive? Just there. This is another of those tires. I'm kind of building a profile here. This is another tire that, this is not that bad. And in terms of R35, you know, we've tested 525 Baja Boss, 1.9 Baja Boss. This feels more to me like the old-timey stuff. Like this wasn't a tire that was trotted out specifically to prompt you to replace it. It is a little odd, well, not for Axial, but what we're looking at in the segment, which is scale LPs. I would call the 5.4 still an LP size. We get these little hesitations that I would not like to see. And I think that those little hesitations are born of all of the includable aspects. The compound could be softer. The tire could have significantly less belting and ribbing in it. You know, you could go ham with a Dremel. The question that I'm at in any point with these, I mean, these are discoed, so if you have a set, you've had a set. So the question is it even worth the effort to debond them from the plastic? Honestly, the yes, if there were a yes, that yes would be remarkably conditional. Class 3 is an area, well, okay, let's say 5 1/4 and up. Class 3 is a territory for me of very specific needs. I'm either going for a tire that is purest in its performance, LP rupture, LP megalithic, little lift in the rear, but I don't think, with all that ribbing and belting, I don't think it's going to overcompress. We didn't really get a lot of cutaway either. It looked more than reasonable. The all-out scale the all-out scale LP is a weird segment for me, because your direct competition would be the we can't call it true scale because the 525 2.2 Canyon Trail has no real world equivalent, but I would put it more in the, you know, it's not a pin tire, it's not a bar tire, so we have to classify it as a scale tire. I would consider it to be a direct across from this. It's a little fat. Some people don't like the fatness. I think of setups that I have outfitted with 2.2 Canyon Trail. Would I replace any of them with these? I wouldn't. The only one that would come close would be my FMS FJ40, which runs 525 Canyon Trails, and they look like somebody put too big of a tire on a stock car, but they look kind of cool. These would be just that little bit taller, and Canyon Trail is super versatile, and I don't think these are going to have that level of versatility. And that's not entirely surprising, if surprising at all, as these came on the RR10 Bomber, which predates my experience in this. That was a pretty good takeout. It's not a bad tire. It's as ridiculous as it might sound. And it sounds ridiculous to me when I think it before I even say it. It feels a little outdated. Like, I don't think Axial had really gotten into the swing of like what makes a tire best suited for that application. This is a bit of a U4 tire, but I don't know, like those lugs are too tight for U4. So I'd want something more KLR looking. It's an odd one. I don't know. I have no knowledge of the inner workings of licensing agreements and what you're allowed to make by whom. This is really feeling like, again, there's two avenues. Do you want a scale tire, or do you want a tire that is performance over all other things? If you want a scale tire, this is okay. This is okay. It doesn't knock me back. And up against any tire that is performance biased, these don't stand a chance. So they're in this middle place. They're right in the middle. I made a mistake in a recent quick view, very recent quick view, where I had a notion in my head, the idea of its final score, and that notion was too high. And I fear with a tire like this, I don't want to outright condemn it because it's better than I thought it would be. Particularly looking at the lug, feeling the compound, feeling the density of the tire. The tire is so thick that at no moment have I noticed that it has a single stage foam in it or getting no sidewall fold at all. So it's a tire that I could see an application for. I don't have that application, but I could see an application for it. It's just, even at tires that height, I mean, you get like those RC four-wheel drive Genius at this height that are just gonna walk away. 2.2 Canyon Trail on a silicone is just gonna walk away. And it's really difficult to balance all those considerations against one another and retain an objective score. It does then occur to me that these are points potentially all moot. You can't get them, so we can't do a cost-benefit analysis on them. These are, in terms of tires handed to us or thrust upon us, depending on how you choose to view it, by Axial, in the RTR realm, these are pretty good. I'd like to see a 1.9, like that was absolutely solid, but this is a class 3 tire based purely upon its size that to me gives a real class 2 vibe. Like when I see a tire like that, the BFG Baja TA KR2, I want to see the class 2 version of this. It's got some crawler flavor to it. Now, Axial would almost certainly get it wrong. They wouldn't make it any thinner. They would downsize it 3/4 of an inch vertically, and it would still be the same thickness, and it would still have the same amount of belting and ribbing. It wouldn't wear out in your lifetime. Virtually every tire, yeah, see, we don't have like a responsiveness that I would expect from a tire of this size, right? That shoulder should bite, particularly with how thick these tires are. But we also have a very scale side lug, very scale. Its low is at least looking at R35, good, quite good. It's just, it's not, is it worth buying, because you can't buy it. Is it worth salvaging? I mean, geez. Crossimo X2 or X3, probably pretty good. There's such a limited range of fitments on this. It's the same way I think about tires like anybody popping out like the, what is it, Geolander XMT from Vanquish in the 5.1 size. What do you put that on? What is that tire for? I mean, I say that kind of knowing the answer. I think they anticipate you putting it on an optic. But if you're going to put that on your optic, don't. Like, you have so many better options. That 525 area is becoming a hot spot where you're looking at really performance-oriented stuff. And only if you're in a situation where, A, they allow you to run a 5.1, which means you can also run a 5.25, so it's already working against you. I don't explicitly know where this tire goes except in the past. It fits on a Bomber. I guess, here's the thing. I will go to certain distances to sacrifice for vanity. But when it comes to a scale tire at that size, what is going to look scale? It's got to be 1/8 scale. It's got to be big. And when you're in that big, you're in this nether realm where is a 5.4 going to be big enough? And is the amount of performance that you are inarguably sacrificing in order to be running a BFG Baja TA KR2, Now, maybe your real world CJ or FJ, you run Baja TA KR2s. And then I get it. It's like, I feel like I'm seeing the future. That tire right there did precisely what I thought it was going to do. And that level of predictability, it's kind of a little bit of a bonus point, because we can get prescient about it. Like, I saw that clean on the entry, fine. We've got a 5.4. We're keeping the pumpkins up high. And then we're going to come in on the white side right here. And when that driver front gets that load transfer right there, I can feel it falling away long before it happens. Realistically, with that nickel thick carcass on there, might as well get them both. Like, we've still got drive. It's not a competitive tire, and I mean that in both aspects. Like, if you're competing, this is not the tire. If you're looking for a 5.25 to 5.4 tire with a scale appearance for whatever fitment you desire for, yeah, the LP Tusk is still just out there gazing down at you. So it is much like many of the G8 offerings. It's a big question mark. I'm pretty comfortable in saying that if we were to receive this level of performance from this precise tire, but shrunk down vertically, leave it at the same width, shrink it down vertically to the size of a Class 2, 475, 465, in that area, I would be hailing this as maybe the best R35 tire that Axial has foisted upon us. It's certainly better than Nitto trailer drive. It's better than all of the 475s from Axial. I mean, it is a competent tire brought down by the age of the tire, the era in which it was designed, full rib, full belt, big thick carcass. Like, I get it, be right at home on your Ray of some sort. Baja Ray, Hammer Ray, if you can fit a 2.2 and not a 2.230. It is sort of falling into the category of Axial used to be better at this. I'm going to give you an unnecessarily full disclosure. I don't know how to score this tire precisely, and I need to score precisely because it goes on a spreadsheet. It goes in a database of tires that have been tested. I need to look at other 2.2 tires of the 5.25, that 135 millimeter-ish. Am I right in saying that? 125.5. Yes, in that 135 millimeter size. I need to look at contemporaries. Like, in terms of Axial, I'm scouring the mental database, trying to think what has been better at this size. Because if we're looking at non-575s, non-full size 2.2s, this is better than the Baja Boss, this is better than the Baja Pro X, and that is from a rock crawling perspective. These are passable. They would be gaining probably another 2/3 or 3/4 of a point were they 1.9 475s. I mean, as it stands, their range of fitment is small. We may never know what we would see in terms of forward drive had we been able to fit silicones in them. But they're far too thick. They don't run out of traction like a lithium battery. They go pretty good. a great many tires, perhaps the lion's share of tires, you get to a certain point of traction and then it just falls away. It just falls away. They get to a certain point and then they stop. I think if you're on something particularly high traction, which we are not, if you're on something high traction, I think these could do better. These are doing, on the one hand, well, but when we're talking about this cutthroat segment, where if scale looks are the consideration, then the Tusk is gotcha, and if pure performance is coming for you, then we have a number of options. We've got megalithics, we've got LP ruptures, we've got the 2.2 segment is getting, LP segment is getting hot because it's bringing back the cut and shuts. Everything old is new again, but you don't have to cut them. These are better than average, but by no estimate excellent. They are, if anything, something of an indictment of how Axial produces a tire now. Like, why is your average tire not at least as good as this one? Because it has nothing about it specifically rock crawling oriented. It's R35, which is an all-purpose compound. The carcass is far too thick. It is fully ribbed, it is fully belted. To the point where it fits a foam for a much smaller tire. We have the foam for a 5.25 that is 4 or 5 millimeters narrower than this one, and is also shorter by close to 5 millimeters shorter, but that foam fits because this thing is carcass all day long. But we can hold a 3-point fighting stance there, so they're not terrible. But in the spirit of quantifying things that are ultimately quantifiable, faint praise is the most damning, and saying that a tire is not terrible is faint praise, right? We want excellent, or alternately, in some instances, we'll take truly terrible. These are absolutely competent. In terms of a Class 3. Now, having not seen it wet yet, I think we are going to see a prototypical level of traction reduction when I do this. Get a little of this out there. Ooh, and look at it in the morning sun. Get a little water down, get a little trickle. I like to see a little waterfall coming down there across the rocks. I think we're going to see the absolute fulfillment of an expectation. Oh, no. Rescinded. Hey. Better. Look at that. I don't even know that rock's wet. You get a different approach to that. That is, for R35, that is startlingly good on wet. I mean, I'm trying to get it to bust out. Very nice. Now, by that same token, that's not going to manipulate the score. I had a score sort of predetermined about 4 stations ago, and that is 96 even, because the 2.2 Pitbull Rock Beast 2 is 95.9. The 2.2 Axial Mickey Thompson Baja Boss in R35 is a 95.7. The 2.2 Baja Pro X is a 95.5. That's Proline in G8. Then we've got to shoot way up the board. PBX AT Hardcore, the most surprising tire from Pitbull's, a 96.6. That is also a full, that's a 5.75. That's not an LP. Genius Sem Fronteras in the X2X, 96.9, right there, closing in on the 97 range. And realistically, that 97 range is where you want to be. Like, You can get, I'm no great fan of Proline G8 for a rock crawling application, but I would say that the 2.2 trencher will be better across the board. Now, yeah, it's not particularly scale. So what if we're looking at something that is remarkably scale? And then we've got the 2.2 Canyon Trail, the 2.2 Proline Moab, which is going back in time. Ibex, Moza, 2.2 Deep Woods, which is again a 5.75. The Tusk LP in 5.25 is a 98. And the gap between 96 and 98 is far more than 2 points. This is a tire. This is a man without a country, a man without a flag. If you've got a Bomber, I guess, but you can put on a better tire. I don't know. It has inadvertently, it is now serving as a benchmark. This is a benchmarker of a tire. If you're a 5.4 inch tire, if you're a 5.25 inch tire, if you're anything sub 5.75, but larger than about 5.1, so you're in this little weird space of fitment. If you land in that little weird space of fitment, you had better be at least as good as the Axial R35 BF Goodrich Baja TA KR2. Remarkable on wet, fairly expected on everything else. It surprised me a little bit a couple times, especially for a carcass that thick. And this tire coming from how many years ago? This tire would be a senior in high school? Junior in high school? Axial has no excuse for producing the tires that it produces now. So the big long-named Axial R35 BF Goodrich Baja TA KR2 will go on the leaderboard at a 96.0, which for a Class 3 really sets a standard. I hold the standard for anything larger than 4.75 at 96, and I held the standard for anything 4.75 and below at 95. This is the average. This is the absolute average. Is it worth to bake them off? I don't know, maybe. You're probably better off just trying to slap them on something that goes a little faster and seeing how they do there. I think they're probably pretty good at it. So they surprised us a little bit in terms of their rock crawling performance, but they've definitely been outdone by time because you have more options now that are better. Some things have gotten better. Many things have gotten worse. And we at least have a reasonable and decent R35 option. Before we head out, I remembered it. Let's see if we got any creep. I think I only marked one of them with the pen. Nope, didn't move a lick. Didn't move a lick. So that's good. Well, that's good and or bad. Either good in that they weren't sliding around, or bad in that we didn't generate enough traction to slide them around. But Wolverine feels like he had something amounting to a very average day. He hopes that your day has been and will continue to be better. He hopes that you come back and visit us next time. And in between now and when you inevitably do, please one and all, do your very best to have a good one, everyone. The hose, is it picking it up in the camera? Can you see it in the light? The hose has sprung a fantastical leak and is making a wonderful, I'm surprised we're not getting a rainbow. The hose has sprung a leak. It's gonna be that kind of day. Thank you so much, everybody. We'll see you next time. Wolverine wheels out of frame in a state of near total ambivalence.